Hello and welcome to Project Art Now. Today I have the immense pleasure of bringing you an interview to romance author Renée Gendron. As you might notice, I'm posting on a different day, and that is for a good reason. As today, Renée is releasing a brand new book, The Game Wonders Match. Of course, we still have the manga of the week, which on this occasion is Attack on Titan. Hope you like this fan art of Mina Carolina, a character I choose because has a fun name to say, Mina Carolina. Go on, give it a try. See, it's fun to say, right? Now let's start the interview. Hello Renée, good to have you here. How did you decide to become a storyteller?
Thank you so much for the opportunity for this interview. I'm very grateful. I don't think I made the decision to be a storyteller. I think the stories found me. I've always enjoyed writing. I've been writing since probably grade 5 or 6. I took up writing again about 10 years ago, and somehow the stories always find me. The worlds find me, the conflicts and the romances find me. And I just view storytelling as the natural extension of being able to tell those stories.
You are a multi-genre romance author with a fair collection of stories at your name. Please tell us about them.
I am a multi-genre romance writer. I have some publications out, and I'll just hold up my books because I'm very proud of them. This is an anthology that was based on Twitter writers, and it's based on sci-fi fantasy romance. My particular story in Beneath the Twin Suns is a historical fiction. It's a little romance about finding out who broke into the main character's shop and why. That's called The Theft, and it's in Beneath the Twin Suns. Another anthology based from Twitter writers, the wonderful Twitterverse, is In the Red Room. All stories here have a particular picture in which the furniture was red. It's based in Victorian times. And this one, my story is a historical fiction based in the French Revolution and has a bit of a twist. It involves aristocrats, a bit of a double cross, and all that fun stuff. Again, from Twitter, but this one was published through Fedawar Press. This is an anthology of sci-fi romance stories. And in Star-Crossed, my story is about two cops on a space station who go and investigate a plot to blow up the space station. That's a 10,000 word short story. I had the privilege of collaborating with another anthology on Twitterverse's wonderful writing community, Heads or Tails. And in this one, this is particularly interesting because I co-wrote two short stories. Well, I co-wrote one short story and a duology with David Simon. I'll explain that better, I promise. The premise of each story in Heads or Tails is two authors are paired together. They tell the same story from different perspectives, and there's a supernatural component to it. David and I decided to write historical fiction based in the War of 1812, and more specifically on the Siege of Detroit. He wrote the American perspective. I took the Canadian perspective. The supernatural element in both of our stories is the Wild Hunt. And from the Canadian perspective, I incorporated La Chasse Guerrière, which is a French-Canadian supernatural myth. And you'll have to read the stories for that. I'll also give a little word that David and I decided to expand on our stories, and we're both writing basically the American version, the Canadian version in novella form, and those hopefully will be back out and released in 2022. That's a bit stumbling, but it's Friday night. I hope all is good.
When creating a new story, for you, what tends to come first? The plot, the characters, or something else?
I normally, in terms of books, I normally write very large series. I like to look at the conflict that drives the series. I like to understand the society that the series will take place. How does that society change? How does that society evolve? Once I have that meta conflict, I'm better able to understand the dynamics of every book. And within every book, I start with the trope. I am a romance writer, and I will start with the romance arc first. Is it a friends to lover? Is it a high school sweethearts reunite? Is it a second chance at love? Whatever that case is. And then in that book, in that world, what additional genre is being added? Is it a mystery? Is it an action adventure? Once I have that, I then also drill down to something more unique to say, well, what kind of mystery or what kind of adventure, what kind of quest? And I make sure that within the series that the combination of tropes is unique, and so readers don't get bored, or that I don't write to formula because I'm always changing the formula. I do like to start with the tropes because I like to understand the structure. I want to see how the pieces fit for the entire series. I want to make sure that there's clear goals, that there are clear motivations, and that those motivations are strong enough to drive the series and subsequently to drive each individual book. It does take some time and some process, but that's just how I start. I start structure first.
Are you working on any new stories? If so, please tell us about them.
Of course I release almost monthly news stories under Amuse-Bouche Review. Those are available for free. I am constantly evolving the genres that I write in. I'm currently editing in October 2021 the first book of Mines and Mineral series, and that is a Western historical based in Alberta, circa 1885. That one will be released in March 2022. I have a series of sports novellas that's going to be released as well. So the first one is already written and ready to go for January 2022. The second in the series is half written, and I'll just finish that. I have the Outdoorsman series, which is a contemporary romance, and I need to write the second book of that. So name the genre, I probably have a story or an arc or a world that I want to create within that. Cyberpunk as well, historical fiction, and I'm also working on some sci-fi and urban fantasy. I shouldn't forget that. So also urban fantasy. I'm always working on stories, and that's what makes it fun.
Any advice or message you have for storytellers out there?
Learn the craft, read, listen how other storytellers tell their stories in different forms, be it podcast or movies or in books. Read a lot in your genre, but also read a lot outside of your genre to understand how other authors and other genres approach their characterization, approach their dialogue. You can also understand what are the expectations of your genre and which ones to keep and which expectations to break, and how it would be fun to break expectations. Learn, study, have fun, support yourself by having a peer group that wants to see you succeed. If you don't yet have your peer group, keep looking. The Twitter community of writers is fantastic. There are communities of writers at your local library. There are communities of writers online and other platforms. If you haven't found the people that really want to boost you and see you thrive as a writer or as a storyteller, keep looking.
How can we enjoy more of Renée Gendron?
The best way is to follow me on social media. Renée Gendron. .com is my website. At the bottom of the website, I have Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. If you want to talk about craft, if you want to talk about writing, feel free to reach out to me on Twitter. I'm always engaging the broader community on questions about their works in progress and their characters. Thank you so much for your opportunity. And I'm just going to say one more thing, if I can find it in there it is. So on October 14th, I will be releasing my first contemporary mystery romance, contemporary suspense romance, The Game Warden's Match. It is based in Eastern Ontario. It is a high heat romance, and it also involves some interesting crimes in which the lead investigator, James Acker, has to unravel. All right. So this is The Game Warden's Match, book one of the Outdoorsman series, and that's out on October 14th, 2021. Thank you so much for your time today, and I hope you have a wonderful day.
Hope you have enjoyed this little interview. I myself had a great time. Thanks again to Renée for her collaboration. Hope I get to see you all next week. Bye bye.